Welcome to Larp Academia, and today we're going to talk about what you get as a level 3 healer. Now, the first ability or purchase option that you get is Adaptive Protection. Now, you may recall at level 2, your first spell was Adaptive Blessing, and that's true, it's just a blessing. We've got protection for you now. Fire, you got that protected. Death, you got that protected. Command, who needs to be commanded? You're basically a barbarian now. Who cares about all that stuff? And while it does give you a versatile choice to make someone immune to a specific school, it still falls under the same problems that Adaptive Blessing does, and it is now per refresh. Now, Adaptive Blessing, the problem was, it's resistant and then it's gone. Adaptive Blessing, you don't have that as much, but you still need people to remember this odd enchantment that they are immune to a specific school that can change. Oh, what? I mean, I know Flame Blade makes me immune to Flame, I'm pretty sure. Maybe Subdual, but I'm pretty sure Flame. As for Adaptive Blessing and Protection, I mean, Adaptive Protection makes you immune to what again? I can't remember. I'm just gonna die. And that's what sometimes happens with people. Now, if you are able to get people to use it, then it's a pretty great enchantment. But Adaptive Blessing is a 3rd level spell. I mean, and it's per refresh. It's not even per life anymore. You have to really dedicate it to put it on that person and to have them remember it. And it's not as forgiving as Adaptive Blessing since that's per life. And due to all these problems, and that there are other enchantments that give immunities, like Flame Blade I mentioned earlier, and Golem, there's a bunch of other enchantments that give immunities that people would say, I want to be immune to death, I'll just go to this person and get that enchantment with that immunity. They don't even think of Adaptive Protection. So if you are going to make it useful, you are fighting an uphill battle, my friend, and it's not going to be easy. Most people in Amtgard won't really consider it and won't even truly know what it does even after you explain it to them. So Adaptive Blessing, Now your next option is Astral Intervention. You know how assassins become insubstantial? What if you could make them insubstantial and they can't get out? That's right. You can do this to almost anyone, except of course monks and barbarians. This is going to be a common theme here, but it is a command spell that makes someone insubstantial for 30 seconds. Now, of course, it is chargeable. I mean, everything has to be chargeable for healer, but the reason why it's a little bit lower than Hold Person is that, well, 1, this is a 3rd level spell, and 2, Astral Intervention can be broken just as easily as Hold Person. The only difference is that they are immune to most things, since you can't affect anyone who is insubstantial unless an ability says it can. So you basically made them immune for 30 seconds if they can't get out of it, and it may just be a get out of jail free card, and you might have to do a greater release so you don't die and your friends kill them. I mean, it's not, there are some negatives with Hold Person now, compared to Hold Person. Now, Hold Person makes them stop so they can still swing, but Astral Intervention allows that person who is affected to die, so it's kind of a toss-up. But in my personal opinion, and from what I've seen from most healers for what they use, Hold Person is preferred over Astral Intervention. And Astral Intervention is good, but it's not as good as Hold Person. That's why it's green and not blue. Now, what is the number one thing you don't want to have happen as a healer? Well, aside from being terrible, you don't want to die. That's why you have a shield. Now, as you can see, this shield, it's a little bit bigger than a small shield. That's because it is a medium shield. Now, medium shields are able to, oh, look at this coverage, so nice. They're able to keep you alive just about anywhere. Instead of a small shield, which, like nothing coverage about, you can just sit here, hey, how you doing? Oh, an arrow tinked off, that's cool. All right, so as I was saying, a medium shield is able to keep you alive, and shields in Amtgard, as we talked about with our small shields, are really good. Medium shields are able to make you a serious contender when fighting. If you have a medium shield at a short sword, when someone comes up to you, you are able to possibly fight them, and even closer to on a fair playing field. Now, this isn't true if they have enchantments or they have armor, but this can make someone really not just think twice, but consider, I want to fight him, and then walk away. Even though you're a healer, you're supposed to die. Yeah, well, the enemy team wants you to die. You're supposed to be the target to die. So a medium shield is not just a deterrent, but a great protective factor. Since another problem that you'll encounter a lot as a healer is projectiles. People want to kill you. You have other melee people in front of you and they're melee people, usually. That's the goal. So the only way to kill you is with spells or projectiles. Now, spells, harder to stop, but with projectiles, all you need to do is just, I have a shield. Cool. Okay, I'm protected. And it works. It's awesome. The only problem with a medium shield, and what I've done as a spellcaster before to healers, is that this shield is a beacon. You will be instinctive of, all right, something's coming from my peripherals, turn to block it. And this makes you a great target for Iceballs. So be careful about what you're blocking, but medium shields are so wonderful. They'll keep you alive. Every healer has one for this reason. And medium shields are also honestly pretty cheap for how much they cost. They're a lot cheaper than what bards get, which is the only other magic class who's able to use medium shields. So medium shields are great. You should love them. You should take them, even if it's a punch and not a strap. Just get a shield in order to stay alive. Just get a shield and stay alive. Now on to extension. Now we talk about extension, of course, yada yada, in the description below. But extension is a bit better with healer than it is with druid when we talked about druid. Extension allows you to extend your verbals up to 50 feet, and you'll notice that as healer, you may not have verbals that kill people. You may not have verbals that wound people, but you do have verbals that affect people. And that's why extension, it's an okay option. I mean, you're not at a lack of options. You don't have just 2 or 3 spells or 4 spells to choose from. You're able to extend a variety of things. So you can choose what to extend. You can even extend a greater release if there's a barbarian fighting after death on the other side of the field, or a wizard who's trying to stay away. Extension is pretty nice. So it does have an option. It is not perfect, however, since some of the spells that you want to be ranged or very high range in order to help your team are kind of already there, like some Undead, it's already 50 feet, greater release are coming to you anyways, whatever. There's a lot of spells that don't need to be extended for you to do a lot of your most powerful abilities as a healer. So I mean, it's not a requirement, but it's pretty good, and it's up to you, but I would say it's a good option to take for sure. Now, greater harden. Greater harden, if you remember in our first level healer video, harden was a gray because it's bad. Greater harden, though, is a bit better. Usually with harden, you have to choose between, hey, do I want to harden my shield or do I want to harden my weapons? Tough choice. And greater harden takes away that choice. It just makes it, hey, they're both hardened, whatever, you're fine. So greater harden can work on scouts. It can work on druids if you want, or other healers. Greater harden can work, and if someone comes to a healer, they're expecting greater harden if they want harden instead of just normal harden most of the time. So greater harden has its place, but at the same time, there are a lot of problems with greater harden. It's not very accessible. Most people won't come up to you and say, hey, I want greater harden, because either A, they have it, or B, they don't need it, or C, they can't get it. So greater harden, you really have to choose, but it is viable now instead of just normal harden, which is, what's wrong with you? Now, Iceball. Haha! Don't actually throw ice. But Iceball, well, we talk about it in the description down below. Amtgard of Magic Part 3. So you should definitely take Iceball. Iceball is good. It does everything that Entangle does, but stops a person. Now, you recall that I said that your shield makes you a target for Iceballs, not Entangles. Well, while it does do that for Entangles too, Entangle doesn't really matter because, oh, I'm Entangled. Cool, I have release. I have the best release in the game. In fact, 5 of the classes in the game have release, so why wouldn't they release themselves? Entangle falls short at times, but Iceball makes it so that that person frozen. I can't do a thing. So you can't do anything and you can't release yourself. This takes you out of the game if the enemy is around you. They're able to release you and re-iceball you, or just wait till the timer's off and re-iceball you, or release you and kill you whenever they want on their terms. It is completely up to them, and Iceball really makes you have to beg someone else for help. Now, Iceball makes it so that your team can't kill a person. Yes, that is a problem. But there are many other ways with teamwork that you can kill a person. You can use greater release if you really need to, or you could get someone else to release or kill them when frozen. Well, you'll learn about that as you learn more about the different magic classes. But Iceball is a great option since it completely takes them out of the fight. It doesn't let that lone scout come in, get hit with an entangle, and keep going. No, that lone scout is hit with an Iceball and they're stuck for 60 seconds, or until you choose. So Iceball is a wonderful option. Definitely take it. Now Mend. Ooh, Mend. Every class has it. Like 5 of the classes have Mend. Yes, Mend is pretty good. It repairs a point of armor, repairs a piece of equipment. That's great. It's per life, but there's something missing. It's not chargeable. A good healer spell that's not chargeable? Oh my goodness, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to experience it, of course. We have to make everything chargeable, or every really good spell. So most healers will experience Mend, because Mend has a lot of uses. Mend is able to, yes, repair armor, but it's also able to mend a person's sword that blocks an arrow. It's able to mend a shield that stopped a fireball, which the fireball is now on your side of the field, so it's pretty great. Since they've lost a fireball and you guys have lost what, a Mend? Come on. Mend is pretty good. Now, while Mend is not as good as it is for the other classes, you are able to experience it and make it so that any shortcomings that you would have is, well, taken away. So you really should get Mend. Most healers get Mend for a reason, and even if you don't experience it, just take a few Mends, because Mend's nice. Mend's pretty great. Now, the big one, the biggie that you get at level 3 that makes you super powerful, that you really don't get a major power spike now until level 6, which, I mean, you do get more powerful, but the big spike that you get is Resurrection. We talked about the second level that, oh, there's some Undead that affects Resurrection. There's Greater Release, which helps Resurrection. There's Innate, which can help Greater Release or help Resurrection. You're getting the idea that a lot of things are geared toward Resurrection, and you are correct. In fact, this is what makes backline healers viable. And not just viable, I dare say, but possibly the most powerful way to play healer, the most powerful class or anything in the game. Now, Resurrection is where you bring a dead person back to life. Okay, pretty simple. That's the simple concept of it. The reason why it's so powerful is that death happens a lot in Amtgard. You could give someone a resistance against wounds, blessing against wounds, and then they're hit twice in the back and they're dead. Okay, that was kind of wasted. They could go out there and then they could take a wound to the chest and they're dead, or they take a wound to their leg and now they're going to be killed by everyone else around them. So heal and blessing against wounds, while they do prevent death, don't provide a strong assurance against death, and people will die. There's too many things that can happen, and when people die, they have to wait a long time. It could be 30, 45, 60, or you could go 15 or 0-second death count games, which I mean, I'm wondering why you're playing a healer in those games, but you could have a different reason. Now, in those scenarios, when people are dead for a long time, wouldn't it be nice if you were able to cut that death count down from 60 seconds to 5 seconds? That's a pretty good reduction right there. And what if you're able to do that consistently to multiple people? That's also really good. Well, that's what Resurrection allows you to do. Resurrection allows you to cut down on that death count, and if you have multiple healers resurrecting, then the team with multiple healers usually wins. In fact, if there is a team that has one healer versus a team that has no healers, and you have about 10 people on each side, that team with the healer will win 99% of the time. The only 1% is if that team is actually very terrible. I mean, skill-wise, they are, whoa, what are you doing? You need a lot of help. So that one healer is that powerful due to Resurrection. You're able to win the war of attrition. Now, there are some caveats with Resurrection. Resurrection is a spirit magic, so if someone is dead and they're cursed persists into death, then you cannot resurrect them, which is why you should always ask, are you cursed? No? Okay, and then resurrect. In order to resurrect a person, they need to be at the spot where they died. So, I died. Maybe, shuffle a few feet, who cares? It's not that big of a deal. But if someone turns around and starts walking, you can't resurrect them easily now. And the only way to resurrect them is to be at Nirvana, or be at base. Summon their corpse. and resurrect them. Yes, you have to summon and then resurrect at Nirvana because you're summoning them to you. That's the only way it works. It's pretty annoying. Now, something else that's nice is that, let's say if someone's dead and they don't move, you're able to summon their corpse and resurrect them. Another thing that you'll see commonly with healers is that they summon the person's corpse, they summon the corpse, summon the corpse, summon the corpse. They start casting the resurrection spell before they get to them, because the only thing that matters is at the end of the spell. So you can slow it down, try to get them to wave, and then once they get to you after the summon end, you slap them on the shoulder and then smack them on the back to get them going back into combat. So you can start the resurrection spell before they're at you. And this quickly speeds up the process. Now you're wondering, like, well, resurrection's once per refresh. I mean, it's not that powerful. Well, what makes healers so powerful is that it is the best resurrection in the game. It is charge times 5, which you are able to reduce later. We'll talk about it at level 6, but it is charge times 5. Monks have charge times 10. Druids have no charge. We can't charge it. And really, it's you. You are the person who brings people back from the dead. And resurrection is an awesome ability. It's what makes healer. You need to have it if you're actually playing a healer. Even if you don't resurrect a lot, it is so worth it. So you need to take resurrect. I cannot emphasize this enough. Now, just resurrecting people isn't that fun, is it? I mean, come on. You want to make zombies. You're here to be a necromancer. And raising people from the dead is, yeah, sure, a type of necromancy. But what if you raise them as your minion? Well, that's why we have the spell Undead Minion. Now, Undead Minion is it's an interesting spell. It's a spell that makes the person fragile and suppressed, so they're not able to use any abilities, which means monks are great for it. Not many other classes, but monks are great for it. And when they die, instead of dying, they become insubstantial and are able to come back to you. Now, there are a bunch of extra caveats. I'm going to fill the screen with a bunch of extra little things about Undead Minion, and there's so many things that you have to keep in mind with Undead Minion. But the problem is that there's a better version of that later on. And that better version is meant to work with a 6th level ability. So until you get that, you can once per refresh give this person an enchantment so that they're fragile, and when they take makes them insubstantial, and they come back to you and it's okay, but all they need to be do is tracked out of it, or you die, and there's a bunch of different ways that Undead Minion could go awry. So Undead Minion, while it is cool, and every 3rd level healer is going to pick it up, let's be honest here, everyone's going to try like, oh, I have an Undead Minion, I can make a zombie, and they feel so excited, and they realize, oh, this is not the best in the world. You realize that it's not that powerful, it's definitely not the best, and you should just wait a little bit. Wait until level 5, or really, you should wait till level 6, and then we'll talk about you being a necromancer and raising people from the dead. Not in a consensual way, in a, you're going to be my Undead Minion mummy, and then just send them out to constantly murder people. Now that is what you get as a 3rd level healer. I would love to hear any of your comments down in the comment section below, as if resurrection is that powerful. If you really need it to become a true healer, and I mean you do, but you can debate it in the comments down below. And if you liked this video, like, subscribe, ding the notification bell, and have a great time. Until next time, keep LARPing.